This is Donna Reish, aka Language Lady, and I'm here today to tell you about a new product that we have called the ABC Sound Song. And before I do that though, I want to talk about the general Letters and Sounds program because we have a couple of other items that are already up. Just refresh your memory, and also to let you know that all of our Letters and Sounds products, the Letters and Sounds picture cards, the Letters and Sounds song posters, and new ones that are coming up, the little ABC rhyming books and the ABC collage book and so forth, they are all going to have the same underlying teaching methodology. So I want to just go over some of that to begin with. First of all, the ABC Letters and Sounds cards, which we already have up, they come like this, and I just want to go to some of those. They are colored cards like this, and you can read you can see the whole review there about those. But the reason that I want to talk about these together is because these cards here have the exact same pictures and so forth as these. So in other words, they go together for learning the sounds. Each of the clue words from the picture cards is the same as the product that I'm going to be describing today. So they work together, so that's a great thing to be able to have the exact same clue words. Before I tell you all about the ABC Sounds song packet, I want to tell you about clue words in general for learning beginning sounds. This here is one of the cards, front and back. You can also do them separately, print them off. There's another set separate where you have E, and then you have this, and then you play matching games and so forth. But generally speaking, when we talk about clue words for learning beginning sounds, we have the ba. I just have a few here that I want to show you, the ka, the e, and the f. I want to tell you a few things about using clue words in general, so that even if you don't end up buying any of these ABC Letters and Sounds products, or either of these two that I'm describing today, that you'll just get some help that maybe will help you in working with your young learner. One of the things that's really important with learning, working with young children, is to not frustrate them and to not go too fast and to not do things before they're ready. So if you've read much of my writings at Character Inc. or at Language Lady blog, you'll know that I'm all about the children. So here are just a few tips. Regardless of what program you're using to teach beginning sounds, it's a good idea to have one or two clue words. And those clue words should be very specific types of clue words. For our programs, we use clue words that were one syllable as much as possible. We use clue words that were clear, non-ambiguous. So in other words, we wouldn't have a rat for R and a mouse for M. We would just use mouse for M if we chose to. We would not use them both. We want them to not be confused with other things. If it's a bed, it looks like a bed. If it's a bike, it looks like a bike. There's not any fireworks. There aren't fireworks coming out of it. The letters don't have little pictures on them or anything. Extremely clear and very concise and unambiguous. Also, the words need to be as much as possible preschool words. Now, I say as much as possible because when you get to Q and X and Y and Z, sometimes that's a little bit difficult to do. And so, you know, rather than raft, we would use boat, because a preschooler might not know what a raft is. The clue words need to be something that are just like that, that once they realize that bed and bike are the clues for the letter B, that they can really pick up on it that quickly, that they don't have to stop and think, well, was that you know, a boar or a bear? You know, in the case of a pig, you know, we wouldn't use a boar. That's not a preschool word. And then when we did the vowels, for the first, we have, everything has 26 and then 5 additional ones. 26 for the first 26 letters of the alphabet. So the first time you go through the ABC picture cards or the sounds posters or the collages or anything having to do with the beginning sounds, it has short vowel, because these are most commonly taught first when a student learns to read. Also B, they are the ones that are most words have those in short vowel words. more so than long. And so when we did the vowels, the first 5 times, they'll have the short sound. So A will have A, E will have I will have I, O will have ah, and you will have And 2 pictures. Again, we have an elephant here because it is a common preschool word, and it is 3 syllables, unfortunately. But other short vowel E words like edge, that's a short vowel word, but it also has a soft G in it. It also is hard to depict pictorially. And so we had a lot of criteria, but in the case of the first 26 letters, the first time you go through, the vowels will all be short. I recommend, regardless of what program you use, that you not have an egg here and an eel or an eagle here. Not to have, when you're going through the beginning consonant sounds, not to have the short vowel and the long vowel on the same one for the vowel sounds. And we did just the opposite for the consonants. The consonants, just for later on, have a short word and a long word. It doesn't really matter right now because they're just learning ba, but this might matter later on. So we have a bed and a bike. We have a cat and a cake. We have a fox and a fire. But for the vowels, short vowel first time through, long vowel next time through. And we also have first time through hard C, ka, and hard G, ga, and then at the end we have a soft C, sa, and a soft G, ja. So this, again, that's just a little bit of information to help you in choosing any kind of clue words. Now, when you practice, in our practice pages that we're getting ready to publish, we have all kinds of pictures, you know, so you will have, you know, for the C, you'll have a cat and a cake, but you'll also have a clown, even though that's a blend. Because for the practice pages, it's not as important. But when you use the clue words, you want those to be words that are clearly discernible. You hear it at the beginning. You don't have to try to break out the blend. You don't have to try to figure out whether it's a long or a short vowel or whatever. It's very, very clear. For the picture clues, we did not use controlled consonants, like R controlled, like crown, or L controlled, clown. Again, you want the sound to be very discernible as you're teaching a student beginning sounds. Also, all of the clue words came first and foremost from the Dolch and Fry word list for primers, pre-primers, and first grade as much as possible. Once we eliminated, we're not able to use all of those for some reason, for some of our other criterion, then we moved on into a children's first dictionary, and then we ended up with elephant. So, so it just depends on what your preferences are, but this, just working with young children and with my reading specialist master's work is what I have determined to be the best protocol. Also, another reason why it's important not to have a boar and a pig is because you're asking the child to do too many skills at one time. When you're teaching beginning letters, and always start out with recognizing the letters first. So you'll start out recognizing the letters, and then you'll move on to recognizing the sounds for those letters. But when you start doing things like a boar or a signet for what is that, a swan baby or whatever, now you're bringing in another skill. So we have this skill here of recognizing the letter shapes and recognizing the letters. That's the first skill that we have. And then we have another skill, but hopefully this one is accomplished pretty much before we go into this. And then we have the sounds that that letter makes, and by using the clues. We have 2 clues every time, you know, like in ba and ba. I'm going to get in that in just a minute. But then when you bring in another element, such as trying to figure out whether something is a boar or a hog, or whether something is a signet or a swan, then you're bringing in another skill at the same time. So you're asking your child, recognize the letters, recognize the sounds, recognize the clue words, and now also let's do some animal study in here at the same time. So I really recommend that your picture clues be very, very simple, very concise, and so forth. Alright, so that takes us out of our letters and sounds pictures cards, and I'm going to move into the sound song packet. This sound song packet is for teaching the beginning sounds. It is a 45 or 50 page document, and you can see on the cover it has some samples of the actual posters. It also has a lengthy how to use and how and what to watch for, order of things and so forth. This is all of our products have a lot about how to use them because I like to teach teachers. So I want to teach people how to teach, not just give you a product and say hope for the best. This has a lengthy opening as well, teaching you how to teach it. So about the packet, what makes this packet unique, some of the things I just described, the order of everything, and the types of clue pictures, tips for using the posters, both in let as well as in a public school or private school. All right, the actual posters themselves, well, let me go right here first. Also, all of our letters and sounds have this at the beginning. And this is just, you could do this definitely at home, but easily, but I just thought since we have it done already that we would throw it in here. This is the alphabet song, the traditional, original alphabet song, based on when you change lines in this actual song. And so it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, and then you drop down there. And we have uppercase, lowercase, and mixed. And this is again for recognition. So hopefully before you start using the letters and sounds song packet, you've used the picture cards and you have your student has some recognition or a lot of recognition of the letters themselves. When you do this, and I describe this in this, talk about singing slowly, pointing to the posters and so forth. But you can learn more about that in the picture card video. So let's move on to the actual songs themselves. The song posters themselves have songs, all the same tune, to the tune of Mary Had a Little Lamb. Again, they are the same as these. So you'll see that you have a bed and a bike, just like our picture cards have. And it is laid out according to the lines of the song as well. And always has the same clue words there too. And it has this marking for you to know how to pronounce it, the short vowels AH, but you're not supposed to go ah, so that's why it says that. The consonants have UH following them, all right, and that's in faint letters because we don't want the student or the teacher to go, B says the sound of ba, sound of ba. You know, we want the student to say, says the sound of ba. All right, and there are two ways that you can kind of eliminate some of that drawing out because when students do learn the sounds, they have a tendency to do that. So the one way that you can do that is to have the student whisper. So you could say, B says the sound of ba. And when they whisper it, they have a tendency not to go ba like that. So that's one way that you can eliminate that dragging out. The problem with dragging out is that then we have a short U situation, you know, ba, and then when you start to go boy, you go ba-oy, and so forth. So we want to kind of nip that in the bud right away. So one of the ways to do that is to whisper. Another way to do that, and don't do this if you have a student with speech problems, but another way to do that is to have him close his lips while he says it. So B says the sound of B, and that will also eliminate a little bit of that ba. But again, if you're working with the speech therapist, don't do that because that would be the opposite of what the speech therapist would be telling the student to do. So just a couple clues there, but again, we have 26 of these, and I'm going to go through the first couple for you. And they're sung to the tune of Mary Had a Little Lamb. So, and they have a couple of special things about them. First of all, every poster has the uppercase and the lowercase letter. This is for a couple of reasons. Sometimes students are more familiar with one or the other, and so by having them both, if your student is, you know, always recognizes the upper but doesn't always recognize the lower or vice versa, that takes care of that problem. Additionally, it gives them another chance to see the orientation of the letters, to see where the lowercase a falls with the uppercase A. So this is just good for his writing practice of the letters, to always have that in front of him. So it's just another little teaching tool that we use by having the uppercase and lowercase together. All right, so we have the song, A says the, and I'm not a singer, A says the sound of A, sound of A, sound of A, A says the sound of A, A, in accent apple. All right, let's move on to B. B says the sound of B, sound of B, sound of B. B says the sound of B, B in bed and bike. And then we have the hard C. Again, the first time through, short vowels for all 5 of the vowels, and hard C and hard G. So C says the sound of K, sound of K, sound of K. C says the sound of K, K in cat and cake. All right, 26 of these, and then we move back to the back where we start the long vowels. And they have a long vowel mark over the lowercase one, and they are indicated with AY, but again we have the Y there in gray. There's different phonics books handle this differently, different ones do, and they also have even books that you'll get at the library to help students at home, to help your child at home, will handle it differently. Sometimes it'll have short vowel, long vowel marks. Sometimes it'll have like a double A if they want you to say the sound, or it'll have the A in parentheses or slash marks if it's a sound. And we just, rather than having a code that the teacher has to learn all the time, ours just has the gray, very faint Y there, so that you know that this is the long A. So like an ape and acorn, like an eel and eagle, and so forth. And then the last two are the soft C, city and cereal, and giraffe and giant. So this is a great way, especially if you can enlarge them even and put them on a bulletin board. But even if you can't enlarge them, you can have a bulletin board with your letter, your poster, some clue words, some pictures that go with it. It's a great way to learn the sounds. Students automatically sing everything. You know that by commercials and jingles and mnemonics. And they will, I guarantee, your 4-year-old, your 5-year-old will go around saying, A says the sound of A to everybody, because that's what happened with my students that I used it with. And it will just help cement the sounds with them, and it'll also help them to memorize the clue words. So again, thank you so much for joining me, Language Lady, today for my explanation and teacher training for the ABC Sounds Song Packet. And watch for all of our letters and sounds products, because we'll be putting more and more up as we get them finished. The little rhyming ABC books are just priceless, and kids just love them, and they're a lot of fun to learn all the beginning sounds from those too. So check out our ABC picture cards, check out our ABC Sound Song Packet at Teachers Pay Teachers, Teacher's Notebook, CurrClick, and Language Lady blog. Thank you.